So today, we're going to talk about where we go when we're human, where we go when we've messed up, where we go for this idea of community, and maybe even a little bit about what community is. But along with that, I think we're also going to talk about maybe not where we go, but who comes to us. Talking with Cisco Gonzalez today on this edition of Living Your Faith.
What I do now is I live for Christ. That's it. Every day I live for Christ. What I did in my past is I live for myself. And it's a dramatic difference. I was basically three people growing up. Growing up, I lived in the inner city in New Jersey. I also had a mom who was very protective, and I went to a Christian school, okay? So I lived in the hood, and anything that you conjure up in your mind about living in the hood is true, okay? The worst case scenario, I know it. You know, the issue of watching people die because someone else killed them, I know that. I saw that. The first person I saw killed, or at least left for dead, was a kid like me. You know, I was in high school. Actually, I think I was in junior high. And a group of kids met another group of kids underneath the bridge. There was an overpass, and, you know, underneath there was a playground of sorts, a couple hoops, and, you know, we used to hang there. But that was a place you met to fight. Well, what happened there? Yeah, it kind of a West Side Story scene. You know, chains would come out, bats would come out, guns would come out, knives would come out, and real physical harm happened there. The church that had the most impact for me wasn't my going to church, it was the church coming to me. And the way the church came to me was one of the churches that I would go to during the week, you know, kind of after school program kind of stuff. One of their guys would come over to the playground, okay? As I grew up, this guy started showing up. So I get to be junior high, high school age, and this dorky guy from the church is there. And he's there like clockwork, okay? He's not just there, you know, every once in a blue moon. No, he's there all the time, okay? And then I go to church, and he's there. So there's a connection. And I'm thinking, this guy's so dorky. What's he doing here, okay? And in fact, I'm not proud of this, but he's one that I ridiculed. You know, when he was in my hood, so to speak, in my domain, I didn't have time for him. But he was consistent. And sooner than later, actually later than sooner, he convinced me that this God thing was real. And the way he convinced me was because he was there. The difference between being a thief without Christ and being a thief with Christ is the conviction of the Holy Spirit. So now I take stuff from the church. I can't sleep. I'm not having a good time. I'm a mess. I show up at this guy's door Saturday morning, never forget. I'm expecting him to be belligerent. I'm expecting him to, you know, just get out of my life kind of stuff. Opens the door, he's surprised that I'm there. Oh, hi, okay. Then I tell him, and his response changed my life forever. His response was, we all make mistakes. At that very moment, I saw Christ in the flesh right before me. See, I'll never forget that, because I expected him to go ballistic. You know, after all we've done, none of that. He came at me with the love of Christ and he said, okay, now we all make mistakes. How much was it? You're going to work it off, and we're going to put it back. And that was it. I was going to a white church, okay, predominantly white church as a Puerto Rican kid, in a time where racism was prevalent. And I found the love of Christ in the church, even cross-culturally. And I saw this is a white guy who's dorky looking in my eyes as a kid, who reached out to me. Jesus said, do this in remembrance of me, okay? And for me, it's a significant reminder of where God took me out of, and how he didn't have to do it. I'm one of those guys that I should be dead or in prison or, I shouldn't be around. And God saw fit to reach in and grab me. And every time I take communion, okay, I'm reminded that God's grace has been poured out for me. For me, and I know me. Even today, I know me. I know my sinfulness. I know my tendency to say, forget it, God, I'm doing it my way. And yet, here we are celebrating the fact that the God of the universe said, Cisco, come on. I'm going to be your friend. I'm going to be your God. I'm going to orchestrate stuff in your life. I'm going to be in an intimate relationship with you. And not only that, I'm going to forgive you all your crud. And that's communion. That's communion to me. It's a reminder that the God of the universe reached down, plucked me up, and said, I'm going to be in relationship with you. I love you, just as you are. How will that madness stop? Okay? When I was engaged, there was no way for me to know any other life. That was my context. Okay? This is what kids did. They beat up on each other, not in front of their parents, but, when they went off after school, when they skipped school, whatever, they met up with other kids and they fought. That's what we did. Without someone coming into that space and saying, hey, there's another way. There's nothing else I would know. That's my context. That's my life orientation. That's what I do. So had it not been for the church coming into this context and saying, there's another way. Hey, you guys want to go do this? Sure, we'll eat up your food. Okay? But little by little, it moved me. Here's a living example of a guy that the church went after, moved out of chaos and violence and death into, okay, he's a preacher dude now. I'm reason enough, I feel, and there's thousands like me that are out there and they don't know any better. We need the church, we need Christians to be the church to the world.